This is ABC15 Mornings.
Now at 6, taking a look at New York's famous 4th of July firework display. Viewers enjoying it from the safety of their own homes this year, but not all states followed social distancing this holiday weekend.
And many in Phoenix spending their holiday protesting peacefully. We'll hear from two different groups who met at the state capitol.
Also this morning, there's still a lot of unanswered questions when it comes to the new school year, but we're learning about a new style of teaching that could help students and parents adjust. And we know that is going to be really important information because a lot of parents are on the edge about how it's going to go and what they should be doing. So we will get to that and so much more as we kick off your Sunday morning. I'm Nohelani Graff.
And I'm Mark Thompson, social distancing from home this morning. And no, hey, it was a long night because of the fireworks. I was right in the middle of a good dream. I think I was going up to dunk a basketball, and then I heard these explosions, and it rocked me out of my sleep. It was from Westworld in Scottsdale, but
You're nearby.
I'm here. The coffee is kicked in. That's right. I'm ready to go. I'm back ready to go. Of course, I had to check my phone after that, too, so it was all downhill.
You thought the booms were for you from the stands as you were making that dunk. That's all that
Yeah,
was,
exactly.
right? It was dreaming in 3D.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, hopefully a lot of folks were enjoying those fireworks and the view, and it didn't rattle them out of bed, but it does make the morning a little slower the day after a 4th of July celebration. It's warm, though, so you know what? Put that coffee on ice and settle inside for a while. 87 degrees already in the Phoenix metro. We've got light breezes around 5 miles an hour, not doing anything to keep us cool, really. It could be another pool day, but you may not want to wait until the second half of the day because it's also going to be a scorcher. 112 degrees. Our air quality will improve as the day goes on, but it is in that unhealthy category this morning because of the remnants of fireworks smoke. And we will have some light afternoon breezes that will help clear out the air quality, but it's not going to do much to keep us cool. We'll talk more about how we get there hour by hour coming up in that most accurate forecast. But first, firefighters around the valley very busy throughout the night, not surprisingly. First, Phoenix Fire battling flames at a home near 48th Street and Broadway. At the same time, crews in Gilbert battling a house fire there near Warner and Lindsay. So far, no word on the extent of the damage or any injuries, but as soon as we learn more on each of these scenes, we'll update you on ABC 15.
And we are wrapping up a 4th of July that really felt a lot different for a lot of folks out there, especially because of the coronavirus. Sure, there were fireworks and barbecues, but this year was much more about celebrating America as protecting American health. The coronavirus changing the way that we celebrate holidays across the nation, and health officials say how we did that this weekend will impact how we see the spread of the coronavirus moving forward. More than 94,000 people have tested positive for COVID-19. That's about 1 out of every 100 people. And it's not just here in the valley. People across the country adjusting their holiday plans because of the coronavirus pandemic. But some, including the president, celebrated a little bit differently and didn't do so much social distancing. ABC's Christine Sloan has more details on that story.
Independence Day festivities were drastically scaled down due to the ongoing coronavirus pandemic. In our nation's capital, President Trump hosted a celebration on the South Lawn of the White House. Social distancing wasn't enforced, and not everyone was wearing a mask. During his remarks, Trump said his administration has tested 40 million people so far.
And we've made a lot of progress. Our strategy is moving along well. It goes out in one area and rears back its ugly face in another area.
Beaches that would normally be packed for the holiday closed in California, Texas, and Florida.
And we have to follow these rules, but definitely here at the beach with a young crowd, it's a good idea.
However, some decided to forego social distancing. Scenes like this, hundreds of boaters forming an island on Minnesota's Lake Minnetonka and at Lake of the Ozarks concerning health officials. With cases increasing in 39 states, nationwide 80% of fireworks displays are canceled. The daily nationwide death toll and the mortality rate have been on the decline, but deaths are rising in 14 states and hospitalizations are up in 27. And as professional sports looks for ways to return safely, legendary NASCAR champion Jimmy Johnson pulling out of today's race in Indianapolis after he and his wife both tested positive for the virus.
We're trying to be as healthy as we can, but on the home front with our kids, we're heartbroken right now to see the fear in their eyes.
And Major League Baseball announcing 31 players have tested positive as they prepare for the shortened season. Christine Sloan, ABC News, New York.
Let's bring it closer to home now. Some people in Phoenix spending the holiday protesting in front of the state capitol. Last night, two groups of demonstrators actually colliding. Members of the We Rising Project hit the streets to protest police brutality, and they soon came face to face with a First Amendment right group. Things were tense, and we did ask both sides what it would take for a compromise.
Oh, dialogue. I mean, real dialogue. If they're going to sit there and just yell and yell a bunch of nonsense, right, and not be heard, and they want them to be heard but not me to be heard, well, that's not dialogue.
I love to see them stand on this side of the line, actually represent what we represent. We represent black, brown, white, yellow, because if it was only black people we were fighting for, everybody wouldn't be out here. All different racial groups wouldn't be out here.
And things did remain peaceful, but there were more than 50 people, and many of them were not wearing masks.
And unemployment continues to be a huge problem here in Arizona, with a lot of folks relying on that unemployment check just to get by. But the agency that is in charge of it all, they're experiencing a lot of problems here. Here's ABC's Zach Crenshaw with more.
Since he took over as head of DES, he hasn't done any public interviews. But Michael Weishart hears the complaints.
We recognize the frustration that Arizonans feel.
Randy Mays of Gilbert has been frustrated since late April, when he lost his job.
As of now, I believe I have tried 88 times and cannot get through.
Randy's one of thousands of Arizonans waiting on thousands of dollars.
It would help cover my mortgage. 2 months later, still have not received a dime of my unemployment, even though the money's been approved.
What letter grade would you give DES in handling this pandemic?
I'd give it a raging failure.
Oh, I would give them an F. There's nobody answering the phone.
I'm not going to assign a letter grade. We're adding staff to the call center. We've added hundreds already. We definitely feel for the Arizonans that are struggling to access these benefits.
While the struggle continues for many, everyone dealing with unemployment is worried about the federal benefits ending July 25th.
But I recognize that the significant drop-off in the $600 federal pandemic money is going to be a huge hit to households.
Have there been discussions about increasing the financial assistance here in Arizona if the federal government does not step up and fill that gap?
Yeah, we will continue those ongoing policy conversations with leadership in the state.
Already, DES has paid out more than $5 billion this year. But as COVID continues to keep hundreds of thousands of Arizonans from working, all they care about is their next check showing up on time.
We just need to move faster and be better.
Zach Crenshaw, ABC15, Arizona.
And if you want more on this story, we've posted that full interview at abc15.com. Just click on this story.
A story that's still developing this morning. An investigation has been launched after police shot and killed a man in Phoenix. This happened near 59th Avenue and Indian School Road. Officers were responding to a possible stabbing. When they arrived, they say the caller pointed out a man who was parked nearby. So police approached that car, and that's when they say that man grabbed a gun, lifting it up towards officers. Officers fired, killing him. It's still unclear if the man in the car was the suspect that police were initially called for.
And a massive fire ripping through a flower shop in Phoenix. That was near 52nd Street and Thomas. Crews working throughout the night to put out some of those hot spots. And this morning, we know that it did damage some neighboring buildings as well. No fire crews were hurt. The cause of that fire is now under investigation.
And we were expecting it to be a busy day for firefighters because of all of the fireworks. So thankfully, we haven't seen too many huge incidents, and we don't have any big wildfires to report, but they're certainly going to be on high alert in the city limits and on state lands over the next week because it is going to be hot. Yesterday we hit 110 degrees. That's the 10th time we've done that so far this year. Typically we hit 110 about 19 days a year, and we have several more opportunities ahead starting with today. We will go above 110 today, and we're going to do it quickly. 91 by 8 o'clock, 98 by 10 this morning. It's already going to be uncomfortable early, hitting those triple digits before lunchtime. By 1 o'clock, we're at 107. Then that's not even as hot as it will get. I'm going to talk more about these scorching temperatures headed our way and how long they'll last coming up in that full, most accurate forecast.
All right, Nohe, thank you. Coming up, a new style of teaching is helping students and their families deal with the hardships that come along with the coronavirus pandemic. Plus, demonstrators spending Independence Day calling for the release of immigrants. More on yesterday's rally outside ICE headquarters. Welcome back, everybody. It's been more than 100 days since schools across the state had to close their doors for the season due to the coronavirus. And we know a lot of you are wondering out there what this new school year has in store. ABC 15's Danielle Lerner shows us why trauma-sensitive teaching may be very important this upcoming school year.
You know, are they eating? Are they being taken care of? A lot of times schools are that safe place, and are they not feeling safe?
These are just some of the questions that keep elementary school counselor Janine Menard up at night. Her students and their families facing hardships like unemployment, social isolation, or illness because of COVID-19.
Different types of abuse. I also worry that some of my older students are being caretakers to the little kids.
That's why you'll see the words trauma-sensitive teaching throughout the Department of Education's roadmap to reopening schools, an approach to student behavior rooted in support rather than punishment.
Assume that students and families have already suffered trauma. So you go in with a lens of, I need to be sensitive because whatever is triggering them right now, it's coming from a place of trauma.
That requires more resources, more time. How do you execute something like that?
So you have to embed it in like the culture, and it really needs to be like such a big focus. But I feel like, you say that everything needs to be a big focus.
The Phoenix Elementary School District is already focused on a trauma-sensitive approach, laying out its recommendations during a board meeting earlier this month. Malika Wadley is the district's school social work and student support systems coordinator.
We are all experiencing some level of stress and insecurity. We know that if students are not emotionally well, it's difficult for them to learn.
Part of the district's reopening recommendations include professional development for staff on the impact of COVID-19 and other trauma-sensitive topics. At least 6 campuses will be getting a second social worker, and students will have access to a mental health therapist. Wadley also recommends the 4 R's to bring this supportive approach home. First, reassurance. Tell your children everything you're doing to keep them safe. Keep a routine. Do your best to regulate your and your child's emotions and channel resiliency.
We all have some internal resiliency, and picking up on that resiliency, remembering we have resiliency, and we can get through this tough time.
In Phoenix, Danielle Lerner, ABC 15, Arizona.
As Arizona school districts develop their back-to-school plan, we've made it easy to see what your district is working on with an interactive, searchable map online. Just head to abc15.com/schools. And no, hey, so many parents uncertain about what this new school year is going to have in store.
Yeah, a lot of people still making up their own minds despite whatever the school district is deciding to do. We know that this is a tough time for parents, so we definitely feel for you. We're going to try and stay on top of this as best we can for you. Let's get you that most accurate forecast, help you plan for the day ahead, last day of this holiday weekend before you head back to work tomorrow. It's already warm this morning. We didn't have any cloud cover overnight, which made it better for firework watching and to check out that full moon, but also we didn't have any way to cool us down. Also, you'll notice there is a little bit of a haze out there, and that's the remnants of those fireworks from last night. So our air quality this morning is not great as a result, but it will improve as we move throughout the day. So right now it is unhealthy for sensitive groups, but we'll move into the moderate category for the rest of the afternoon. Tomorrow, however, we do have a high pollution advisory in effect for your Monday. So if you have any kind of breathing trouble, you will want to limit your time outside. Temperatures right now, we had a few valley cities dip into the 70s, but now we're going in the opposite direction and starting to warm back up. So Queen Creek and Chandler still in the upper 70s, same with Cave Creek, but the Deer Valley neighborhoods have warmed into the 80s. It's 80 degrees in Peoria right now, 82 in Levine. So if you're looking for a way to spend the day, try to maybe get on the outskirts of the valley, head out to one of the lakes and feel that cooler water, because otherwise you're going to want to limit your time outside in the heat of the day. And here's how we get there hour by hour. By 10 o'clock, we're already at 98 degrees. It'll be 105 by lunchtime. And then we'll hit that peak heat of the day, 112 degrees, right around 4 o'clock this afternoon. Even look at our cool down. You can't even call it that tonight. By 8 o'clock, it's still going to be 106 degrees. So it's going to be another warm night ahead. Definitely working those ACs across the valley today. 112 is at forecast high in Mesa and Gilbert, as well as Glendale and Peoria. Maricopa warming to the same temperature. It'll be 109 in Fountain Hills and Apache Junction. Anthem warming to 108 degrees. So it's going to be a scorcher. It's already warming up statewide, too, this morning. We're in the upper 70s, low 80s to our south and off to our west. Up in the Verde Valley area, Sedona already sitting in the low 70s this morning. Still staying nice and crisp in Prescott, 59 for you. So that hot cup of coffee is still welcome as you step outside this morning. It's 53 in Flagstaff, 68 in Show Low, but that's definitely warmer than this time 24 hours ago there by 11 degrees. About 5 degrees warmer in Flagstaff this morning, 6 degrees warmer in Prescott. Here's a look at the highs, though. It is going to be scorching hot statewide, really. There's not a lot of places to find any relief. Sedona expecting to hit 100 degrees today, upper 90s for Payson, 90s in Show Low and Heber. Winslow and Page will come close to triple digits today. And then we'll pass 110 degrees in places like Bullhead City, Lake Havasu City, Quartzsite, and Yuma. We do have a fire weather watch in effect across the northwestern portion of Arizona, Mojave County, on through the Colorado River Valley, and that's because they are going to see some breezes today on top of those extremely hot temperatures. Later this afternoon, we see those breezes around 5 to 15 miles an hour across the high country. Gusts up to 20 miles an hour. Will be around 10 to 15 miles an hour here in the valley later this afternoon, closer to those dinner time hours, and then they'll die down overnight. 112 today, not a lot of relief to start the work week. 111 Monday and Tuesday, down to 109 Wednesday. And this is really just the beginning of a tough week ahead. We are in the belly of summer right now, and we are going to feel every degree in the next couple of days. So make sure you're hydrating. Do everything you can to keep your family and your pets safe. Mark.
Yeah, always good advice there. No, hey, thank you. 6:19 now on your Sunday morning. It's a sad reality, but domestic violence calls are up as more people spend more time at home. Coming up, how to get the help that you need during these unusual times. Also, police have new details released in a murder and armed robbery in a terrifying situation in Scottsdale. We'll have that update coming up as well.
Experts say the COVID-19 pandemic has promoted a new wave of domestic violence. And now the largest domestic violence shelter in Arizona is expanding its resources. So Devin DeFantis is the community director for New Life Center. Thanks for joining us this morning, Devin.
Thank you for having me.
You know, Devin, at the beginning of the pandemic, experts were projecting that rates of domestic violence would skyrocket. But at the time, they were actually trending down a little bit. And the thinking was that it just hadn't settled in yet with stay-at-home orders, and people weren't sure what was open as far as resources. So what are you actually seeing at the shelter?
When COVID initially first started, we were seeing an increase of phone calls for people looking for shelter. But then as stay in place continued, things kind of got quiet. And we think that is because victims did not have access to phones, emails, because their abusers were around 24/7. They weren't able to reach out to us.
So you have at New Life Center, you have a mobile crisis support team, and you're expanding access to that. Tell me about it.
Yeah, so starting July 1st, we're going to be available 24/7 to respond out to victims. So right now, our crisis line is open 24/7 for calling, but we're not actually responding. So now we're going to be able to respond to hospitals to provide emotional advocacy and support to victims, with law enforcement. If they're on a scene and the scene is secure and they need an advocate, we can respond there, and with forensic exams as well. So after a victim has experienced an assault, we are able to go and provide that emotional support and actually be with them during that time.
Yeah, I would imagine that's a critical piece, because it's someone who can help humanize the whole experience and kind of empathize with someone who's a victim of domestic violence or human trafficking even.
Yes, definitely. So yes, we're going to be reaching victims of human trafficking, sexual assault, and domestic violence with this mobile response, and really listen to what the survivor needs, how we can support them, validate what they're going through, provide that emotional support, and provide them what are their options.
Do you have any advice for either people who might be experiencing domestic violence, or maybe they're a neighbor or a friend and they suspect domestic violence? Do you have advice of what people should do and what to look for?
I would say to reach out to an agency like us, New Life Center, call to speak with an advocate, somebody who's trained to help safety plan. Every situation looks different. It's not safe just to go intervene if you think someone is experiencing domestic violence. Leaving domestic violence is the most dangerous time for a victim, when the most violence or even homicide occurs. So really supporting safely is important. Every situation is unique, and just asking how you can be a support, providing our hotline number, so we can support as well.
Is the shelter open right now?
Yes, so we've been open this whole time. We're open 24/7. We have 104 beds, so we're the largest domestic violence shelter in Arizona and one of the largest in the country. And we serve men and women and their children who are fleeing domestic violence.
So what's the best way to reach out if you're someone who needs help or you know of someone who needs help?
So our crisis shelter number is 623-932-4404. And our new mobile crisis, if you need us to respond, is 623-215-8072. Some people email us through our website, which is newlifectr.org.
Excellent information, life-saving information. Devin DeSantis from the New Life Center, thank you so much for sharing with us.
Thank you.